Okay, so a moment ago I was going on about radiuses. We need to add some radiuses on these sharp edges here, so let's do that. It's going to go around this top edge of the perimeter first. And then if we're going to radius these edges, we're going to also need to radius the edges that are dropping down vertically. Otherwise, the radius around here won't know what to do with that edge. So all of these vertical drops need to have a radius as well. Just make sure we've got all of them. Looks like we did. Right click to press enter, enter again. Let's do a quick analysis tool again just to make sure those radiuses didn't cause any problems. They didn't, so that's now nicely radiused off. Alright, so we talked about a handle in here. Handle has to attach to something, it's not just going to float in fresh air. So inside of this indent, this canyon thing going on here, there's going to be a piece of plastic like a circle that the handle's going to attach to. And I'm going to do a diameter of 15 mil. See where we are in relation to things. It's going to be extrude 2.5. And this time I am going to try and get this in the middle. I'm going to move this okay, and I did an extrude there. I actually don't want an extrude. I just want a circle, so I'm going to duplicate the edge of this again. Now I've got it in the right place. This can't be a floating circle, obviously it needs to drop down and join to the main surface as well. So I just want to find out where the bottom of our indent is. So I'm going to project this curve onto the surface. And we can see the bottom of the indent is down there, so I can move our circle a little bit lower. I want it to be underneath the top edge, so the handle sits in there flush. Actually, maybe this does come up to the top edge. Alright, so now I mentioned this needs to drop down through the surface. So now I'm going to trim away the inside of the circle there. Let's just do our double check here that these are joining properly so we don't get that same scenario we've had before where the circle, the curves are bad. Join these together. Now using these curves we can extrude by 2.5. Then we can cap that. That's going to mirror to the other side. And we're going to boolean that into the main surface. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to add a quick radius before we do that. So undo. Keep going on about radiuses. So let's put one on. That's going to be a 1 mil radius. Actually, less than that. 0.5. Needs to go all the way down the edge of the surface. Save me doing that 3 times. I'm going to delete this and then mirror our new one across with the radiuses on it. So mirror at 0. Then we'll do our boolean. Edit, select curves. Hide them onto the curves layer. And then that gives us something to mount our handle onto. Okay, just did a very quick pause there just to look at how the handle is joining in, so the screen might have jumped just a little bit, so I apologize for that. So I actually need to cut in a couple more holes into this because what happens is the handle will sit here and then from underneath there's going to be like a bolt cuts through. and holds all this together. I also just noticed my boolean's not a good one because it's sticking out through the bottom. So I'm going to undo a couple of times. Let's get rid of our curves. Edit, select curves. They're getting in the way, so put those on the curves layer. Split this with this. Hold down Control, delete the rest. Now mirror our trimmed piece. Now we can boolean. And I might just undo just before our boolean. I'll copy this, redo all the boolean part, paste in that copy. Now I'm going to do a transform scale 2D. See if we can get the center of the circle if it still exists. Yep, that's good. I'm going to scale that down. And I'm going to explode this. And I'm going to use this to cut a hole in underneath here. I'm going to extend these surfaces. That's good, they're extending a long way. I want those to go down through the surface underneath. Just find this in all views. So we've got to do these edges as well. Extend. So that piece we've just made there now, join all that together. Do a transform scale 1D from its midpoint. Just going to make that wide enough to split. I'm going to mirror it across. I just managed to move that there, so undo. Now picking our main surface here, I'm going to split with this piece we just made. Delete away that thing underneath. Split, same with this side. Hold down Control, delete. Split this one with our main surface. This time I want to delete away these pieces. Oops, a daisy. Well, you can see we've made a hole underneath there. The reason why I've made that hole bigger is because if this piece is being molded from top to bottom, there needs to be a piece of metal in the mold that goes up in there and creates that hole. That hole needs to be there so a peg will fit through. So if that hole were just a circle, there's no way of getting to that through the mold. So we've had to cut this hole to go up through there. To do the same on this side, split this one with this. Delete away all these extra pieces, we don't want them. Control A and join. And we actually want to do something very similar on the outside walls as well. So I'm going to go back a couple of times before I did that split. Copy this, redo. Paste that in. And this same piece is going to do a very similar cut over here as well. Same principle applies. I can't cut a hole in this direction that we're looking at right now. I can only cut a hole in this direction. So let's mirror this about the midpoint here. Mirror both of these about 0. And we're going to do a very similar thing here. We're going to split our main surface with these 4 new pieces we've just made. Hold down Control, delete away all those little holes. Pick our 4 new surfaces. Split them as well with our main surface. And delete away these little bits. And we're left with a bunch of holes in this direction that can be molded in this direction. Don't want this to turn into too much of a molding tutorial, but these are all fairly sound principles for what we're trying to do as far as solids go. Control A, join. So we might finally get to the handle now. So the handle will slot around here. There'll be a peg runs through there. The handle can't come out because the peg is in this direction, and that will all work quite nicely. So turn off our isopalms. Next lesson, we'll put in the handle and hopefully put in that peg that holds it all together.